The Good Party says it welcomes the submission of the first of 3 reports into state capture, and the party is urging the NPA to act on what it calls a well-worn set of allegations. The party Secretary General Brett Herron joins us now for a conversation. Brett, good to have you, and good morning to you. Yesterday, we're reading about how there's at least 1 million gigabytes worth of data. This is evidence that the NPA and Hawks can obviously use throughout their investigation. So much data to go through, a lot of evidence, it seems, on their cards. However, we ran a poll question, and it seems South Africans are not so confident that there would be any prosecutions, at least from the experience with the justice system. What's your view of this?
Good morning, Tumelo. I didn't hear a lot of what you said until now. So, but look, I mean, I think that the lack of confidence in the prosecution system is a big problem for our country, and many of the findings that are in the first part of the Zondo report are well-known allegations that have been around as well-known allegations for a long time. So a lot of it has been confirmed now as with some evidence in this report. And it's time for the prosecuting authority to demonstrate to South Africans that they are serious about prosecuting these corruption and fraud allegations, and that they will act quickly. There are parts of the report where the prosecuting authority could have acted already. And one of those examples is, for example, the disclosure by Ms. Nyeni from SAA's former chairperson about the identity of Mr. X. That criminal charge, and we're reminded when you read the report, was laid a long time ago, and it's not a complex matter. It's a matter that is based on facts that so easily to prove or disprove. So I think the NPA does owe South Africans an explanation as to why stuff is taking so long, and needs to act quickly if we are going to rescue our country from really going off the cliff.
Yeah, from your view, though, Brett, where do you think are the gaps within the NPAs, especially when you look at the delays in some of the prosecutions? You mentioned some cases that could have been, attended to by now. The lack of faith in the justice system clearly indicates to also some gaps and challenges that we're seeing here in the NPA. Where do you identify some of them?
Well, I think that we must look at the appropriation of funding to the NPA and to answer the question honestly as to whether the NPA is properly funded. And if it is not, then that is something that, as legislators, we need to address urgently and not allow that to continue. So, I mean, there are complaints from within the NPA that they are under-resourced. And we see the recent resignation, the head of the independent directorate, which is very worrying, with some rumors that it is about lack of resources. So there are complaints about lack of resources, and that is something that is it's up to members of parliament and the executive to fix if we really want to address these allegations. And then there's also the claims that there are people within the NPA who are working with those who are fingered as being involved in state capture, and that is up to the head of the NPA to identify who they are and to weed them out.
The impartiality here of the president was also in question. Obviously, he did mention that should he be conflicted and found to have been implicated, or rather, guilty of anything within, either of the 3 volumes of the report, he would obviously take the necessary measures to step aside. We're still yet to see what that means, to step aside as the political leader of, the leading party, the ANC, or as the president, or would he then be able to hand over that, report to be implemented by an unbiased individual or party, I suppose. But what is your view with the president here in this instance? Because it seems also other camps of the view that Zondo wasn't supposed to give the president that report in the first place because he did testify as one of the witnesses at the Zondo Commission.
Look, I mean, I think that what I was really impressed with about the way the president handled this was that he he published the report, and it is available to everybody and anybody to read at any time. So we have a report that was handed to the president. I'm not sure that is legally incorrect. But what is welcoming, and I think which can allay any concerns that the president may act without objectivity when it comes to the report, is that the report is in the public domain in full, and many of us are reading the 874 pages line by line. Where I'm one of them. I haven't finished reading it, but it's going to be very hard for the president to do anything if he is implicated other than do the right thing, because as I say, the report is published, it's available to everybody, and there are institutions that can take action if he is implicated and handles this report inappropriately.
Yeah, I mean, already we've seen, just, talking about prosecutions here, Brett, some of those big wigs, some of the names already defending their names, the likes of Mzwandile Manyi coming on eNCA, saying that basically this is a reputational damage on his part. The only crime basically that he committed was to defend, or rather be a spokesperson to, one of the most hated men in the country. So to quote him, that has been the former President Jacob Zuma. So do you anticipate a lot of tug and war between those implicated and obviously those who have a role and responsibility here to prosecute?
Well, it's interesting. I mean, in the beginning of the report, the acting judge, President Zondo, spells out the extent of the evidence that they accumulated over the last 3 or 4 years, which he calls a pegabyte, which I've never heard of. I had to look it up to see what this pegabyte was. And it's just the most astounding amount of volume of evidence. 1.7 million pieces of documentary evidence that have been accumulated. I mean, it's astounding what work has been done and what evidence has been collected. I hope that we're not now going to get tied down in reviews of this report, delaying any action. I don't think there's anything that holds back the National Prosecuting Authority or the Hawks from now picking up the pieces, gathering that evidence, and prosecuting where it's appropriate, regardless of whether anybody wants to review and set aside this report. The existence of the report is separate from any prosecuting decisions, and if the evidence is there, those that are fingered must be prosecuted.